If you are joining me, welcome. This is my first class that I'm trying to live stream across both YouTube and Facebook. And we're going to be drawing a wee little wreath together today, featuring some botanicals. This is my little setup. We will try this out today and see if this new setup works. If you've been joining me to draw before, I started teaching like little online art classes in 2020 during lockdown, and I've kept doing them because they are fun. And so that's what this class is. I've had a few problems just streaming onto Facebook recently, so we are testing this out, trying something different and using a different platform. So we'll see how we go. The class won't get started till a little bit after 10, so it's 9:56 at the moment. I'm just gathering together the things I'm going to need. And I'll pop them all here so you can see. So you're going to need something round to do a circle with, some sketching supplies. So it'd be like a pencil sharpener, eraser, just getting ready. A black pen and excuse all the racket. But some colour pencils, kia ora Rita. It's got a whole bunch of stuff. So I've got a few different times of classes planned over the next wee while. This one is at 10 o'clock on a Sunday here in New Zealand. The next one I'm going to try on a Saturday afternoon. And then the next one I'm going to try a little bit later on a Sunday afternoon. So I'm going to figure out what the best way of streaming these is. So just bear with me while I play with a couple of settings. So, sorry if you saw that jump. I just realized my camera was mirrored, which wasn't going to be very useful if you're drawing along at home. Kia ora, Annie. Nice to see you. I hope it's nice up there today. The North Island. Awesome. So we're at 9:58. Just going to be cruisy. Give ourselves a little bit of time. Gather your supplies together. So just coloured pencils. This is just a basic but good little set of 24. Sketching pencil, eraser, pencil sharpener, black pen. Scoop the rest of these things out the way because we don't really need them. And paper that you're happy to draw on, and something round. And while I've got you here, so you can test out your something round with your piece of paper. I'm using for reference a A4 piece of paper here. Quite good to have a little bit of scrap paper with you as well if you can. I'll just find a little bit of scrap paper we can use for swatching, or swatching or practicing things on. It's good to have whatever piece of paper you're drawing on, as well as some spare. And if you're using fancy paper for your finished artwork, try to have something that's just some scrap paper that you can do swatching and those types of things on. The wreath we're drawing today has a bunch of botanical elements. It's got some succulents, it's got some endemic plants to Aotearoa, New Zealand, a Pōhutukawa flower, Kōwhai flower, and I think that is pretty much it. So we're going to be sketching, lining, and colouring our artwork together. And I'm really excited to draw with you. If you have just caught this and you're not actually able to stick around for the class, I will be leaving it up as a video on the YouTube channel if you want to come back and follow along. Annie says it's a beautiful day in Aotearoa. I think it's going to be a nice day here today as well too. I can only see the tiniest little pebble of blue sky out there, but it's nice and bright, so that is good. Might turn my lights down just a little bit to have some less glare. Yes, the time is now 10:01. We'll give it just a few more minutes for people to join us. Again, if you've just tuned in, I'm just going to go over what you need for the class. You need a piece of paper for your sketch, as well as some scrap paper that you can do some swatching and scribbles on as we go through. You are going to need sketching supplies, a pencil sharpener and eraser of some kind, a black pen. Again, any sort of black liner pen will do. I'm using a 0.5, which is a very standard line thickness today, and a whole bunch of colored pencils. We'll use a few different colors. A 12 set will be enough colors. This is a 24 set. I do get asked about these pencils a lot. They're a Faber-Castell, their Naturals pencil range. And of course, because we're drawing a wreath, we want a nice round circle. We're going to use something round. It could be a saucer, it could be a roll of tape, just something that's going to fit within your paper and leave you some space around to be able to draw. If we haven't drawn together before, kia ora, my name's MB, which stands for Mary Death, and I like to draw. It makes me happy. Get a piece of paper ready. And it is 10:02, so just a couple more minutes before we will get started. Yeah. Nice to have you here. It's always a little bit weird sitting in my studio and having a yarn to myself, a chat. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's fine. Excellent. So just another minute and then we will get started. I haven't loaded the next classes up, but I'm hoping to do that today. I'm going to do some lettering, color pencils, a poppy wreath ahead of Anzac on the 3rd of April, just before Anzac on the 25th. And then something for Easter. Might be lettering, might be a bunny, something like that. Okie dokes. So we can get started. So grabbing our paper and our round thing for tracing, as much in the center of our paper as you can. Keep your pencil work nice and light as you draw it. The pencil that I'm using. Keep the pencil nice and light. I'm going to be pushing a little bit harder on the paper just so that my lines are clear for you. And give yourself a nice circle to start with. I have a little prop I was going to use, which is this. So when I draw wreaths, Okay, I'm going to try zoom in a little bit. When I do wreaths, it's really good to think about positioning like it's clock 12 at the top and 6 at the bottom. Um, and I'm going to use that clock. I'll try to leave it in the middle for while we're navigating, but I'm going to use those numbers to help us understand where in the wreath draw the different bits. We're going to start off doing a light pencil sketch, moving on to some lighting, swatching out our colours, adding colours to our drawing. And if we have time, we will go back and do a little bit of detail with our black pen as well. So it's kind of the plan for today. I booked this class for 2 hours. Hopefully, we will be somewhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours. And on most places with the live stream, you can pause it and go grab a cup of tea if you need. Yeah. If you have any questions, do pop them in the comments. A, it helps me know that I'm not just sat here talking to myself. And B, if I've rushed through something or haven't explained something enough, or you just have a question about what I'm using or what I'm doing, just pop it in the comments, and I'll be able to check it out. So we've got our paper, we've drawn our circle, and this, you don't need one of these if you want to make yourselves one. For generally drawing wreaths, it's quite useful, but it's just so that I can really clearly tell you um, we're drawing these things. Them a little bit light on camera. So it's just like a clock. It's not perfectly measured. Please don't look too closely at the distances between things. But we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the first element that we're going to be adding. It's one of our succulents at the bottom at number 6. 6 o'clock circle. So right at the bottom there, we're going to draw ourselves a circle with 2/3 of it. And you don't need to be too ixy perfecty. Just a circle-ish shape. 2/3 of it are inside the circle and 1/3 of it is outside. You don't need multiple circle lines. It's just me trying to be nervous and also draw a circle. Working lines to be a bit more clear. So starting off with a succulent. So using my scrap paper, I want to show you one of the key shapes we're going to be using in the succulent, which is a really common one. It's a house. So it's going straight up, over to a point, down from the point, and straight down. Obviously, we're not going to be drawing just a bunch of little houses, but when I talk about drawing house shape, this is what I mean. So if you've got some scrap paper, do a couple of these. They're not all going to be straight up and down, but that's what I mean by a little house shape, which is going to be forming one of our succulent shapes today. So go ahead and draw yourself 5 little house shapes. So just practicing, it's going up, over to a point, and down. Not got it on the house shape at the moment. We will add some in as we go, but that's just general idea. Those. So once we're happy with those, we're going to come back to our drawing. Let me see if I can zoom us in a scooch more. Hopefully it's looking okay for you. So we're going to draw a mark in the middle of our circle, but it's not going to be right in the center. We're going to find where we think the center is and then drop down to that circle. It doesn't need to be too dark. It's just mostly for our. Again, as you draw, keep trying to keep your drawing lines quite light. I'm going to be heavy-handed so that you can see everything I'm drawing. And we're going to start adding in some of the leaves of this. So the first one we're going to do is going to go straight up and to the left. It's going to be a house shape. It's going to start here and go up, house shape, and down. So you can see house shape off to an angle. And as I said, we'll keep adding different sort of bottoms shapes as we go through. They won't all be flat. So once you've got that in, you can go ahead and erase. Erase the two, but erase the lines at the bottom and the mark. Now that we've placed that first one, so we've started in the middle of that rounded line, marked it, and then drawn a house shape that's going up and to the left. And we've erased the bottom so that we can add a little bit of a different shape to it. Then at the bottom, we're going to start at the left of the house, go slightly down, and then up to join the other side. It's just like a little pointed triangle end. We're going to use this one to start forming out the succulent. Give you just a moment, and then we will keep going. So our next house shape is going to be starting this bottom corner here, the previous one, and this time we're going to go down and to the left. But again, it's the same house shape, so it's straight line, little roof on it, and straight back in. We've done our first one and our second one there. Keeping on moving around. Going to ask you to use your imagination a little bit because now they're going to start being behind, so we're not going to see the entire house shape. The next one is going to start on this angle up here. We're going to go straight up, add a roof, and then come straight back down, but instead of going exactly vertical, we're going to angle it slightly in towards the center. It's gone up in a house shape. And again, as you draw these, working lines and them as you go. If they're looking a little bit different to mine, that's okay. It's fine. Nature is not perfect. And they're all going to look a little bit different as we go around. It's just a matter with these of building up different elements. So we've drawn 1, 2, 3 of these. Hopefully you're all feeling up to speed. Our next one is going to start over at this same point again. A lot of them are starting from there. We're going up and left again, more of an angle, add a roof, and down towards the bottom. And what we're going to start to do is make sure that the bottoms of our houses are narrower than the top. So if you think about our practice ones, what this might look like, narrow at the bottom, and then the roof is wider. So same house shape, but this time narrow at the bottom, roof wider at the top. And keep that in mind for these next ones as we go through. What we're going to add is out to the side on the right here. And we're going to draw it up and to the right. So again, it's going to start off narrow and go wide with a roof. And back in. As I said before, you can keep erasing your working lines just if they get confusing. We're going to erase all of our pencil work after we do the black line work. Don't need to worry too much. that one there. We're going to come just underneath it and draw one more, this time going down into the bottom right. So again, starting off nice and narrow, big house shape, then a little narrow line. So they're all starting from the same point, which if you think about a succulent plant, they do often, or the one we're drawing, they start from the middle and they're all growing out from a central line. That's why we started off with that little X. Like all of them are starting from the same point. The circle we drew is just helping us keep them all around the same point out from the same distance out from that center point. It's okay if yours has started to look more lumpy on one side, just keep it in mind that balance as it goes through. It definitely doesn't need to be symmetrical, but trying to keep it balanced. So if you've got one coming out this far on this side, you might try on the opposite side to balance it out with the same distance. Just as a suggestion. Next one we're going to do is over in this little corner here. I'm going to start off. This one's going to be a bit of a short, chunky house. Okay, we'll start off narrow, go quite wide, and then back in. So once you've got all of these ones in, you can actually go ahead and erase your working line so that we're just going to leave the leaves. The reason we're doing this is to start to just get a sense of what it feels like, how it's looking, how it's balanced. So I'm using the silly eraser that you can use just a normal chunky one. This black eraser, I highly recommend. It's quite a basic eraser from Faber-Castell, but I do get asked around about it quite a bit. It's a really good eraser for sketching. It's quite grunty. So that's the basis, and I'll give you just another minute to finish any detail erasing you might want to do. This is our first little element succulent. We've got six different plants on here. So this will be number 1 of 6 done once completed. So you'll notice there's quite a few gaps. Just giving you another half a minute to finish up, and then we're going to go around and fill in those gaps with some extra little bits and pieces. And if your places aren't looking the same as mine, totally fine. These will all look a bit different, and that's kind of nice. We like different variation. Awesome. So we're going to start up from this top left corner, and we're just going to put the little peep over of a house. So it's going to come straight up, hit its house roof, and down. So fill in that spot with a nice leaf shape. Then we're going to come around. This time, we're actually going to do it starting from in here, and it's just a slight straight bit, and then a roof, and down. One very annoying fly in this room. Sorry if you can hear. Just buzz it out. So that's that top bit, and moving around clockwise. We did this next one. Then we're going to go into this gap. Instead of drawing one coming straight out that way, this one's going to come down at the side a little bit. So we're going to start roof, and roof, and see how it's sort of sitting almost parallel to this one in the middle. It's group of 3 coming out. just a couple more left now. So that's all of the top. The next one we're going to do is in this little gap here. Instead of just drawing it coming out straight again, we're going to follow and make it a similar direction. We'll start from the bottom line up, just added a second behind that. And we're just going to add one more after this. I'll give you a moment if you're drawing it, that was that. And I'm just sitting in behind there. And the last one I'm going to do is in this gap here. It's going to start off the sides of the house, the roof, and coming in. So all in all, you can darken up the lines if you want this bit. So go over my lines, they're nice and dark, and then do a layer of erasing. Sounds funny, but it's just going to really make it easier to see what the total shape is. And all of this is just going to be setting up so that we can come back in with a black pen and ink it up. So once I've darkened it, I'm just going to touch it up. Eraser, do a light erase, matching graphite everywhere. Using quite a soft pencil, so it's bound to be smudgy. But there we go. So I've got just see the lines, and if it's too light, you can bring them back out. But as long as you can see where those lines are, it's all good. It's going to be ready for us to do it black pen when we get to that step. So that was the first element, first succulent done. If I'll bring back and zoom out again. Do it nicely. I usually use my hand, but I found this little short brush that I've been using to funny little brush. Nice. It's quite a nice brush for getting rid of eraser dust. So thinking back to our clock shape, that first set was at 6 o'clock, and go down sort of between 5 and 4 o'clock, and then draw another circle. And again, we keep 2/3 on the inside and 1/3 on the outside. So it was between 4 and 5 o'clock. We're going to start mapping out our next succulent. This one's going to have a slightly different shape. We come back to our scrap paper. So last one had these little house shapes. This one's going to have teardrops. So I know normally sort of draw a teardrop or raindrop like that. I usually always start with the pointy end. Try to get the pointy end nice and pointy on these. So have a little practice. Instead of it being this nice even end, instead it's starting off sort of like squished end. This is going to be our next succulent. We'll leave it the shape. Sorry, I don't know the botanical names for these. But that's going to be the next one we do. For this, a look at about the halfway point of our borderline, and again, make a little X on it, just to keep in mind where our center is. We're gonna pretty quickly use it. So the first shape we're gonna do is going sort of almost straight up, a little bit to the left. It's gonna be that teardrop shape. Shall I zoom this correct tonight? Have a look. And move the clip over. Feeling somewhat technical today. Just getting the focus right. Cool, so we've done that first sort of teardrop shape. The first one is going to have one slight difference, which is going to and do sharpen your pencil as you go through if it's dulling off a little bit. So we're going to take the top, and where it's teardrop, we're going to lean it over, slouchy to the right. So we've followed that line. Instead of leaving its point, we've slouched it over to the right. Then we're going to come back in, go to that new point we've made, and a little bit back along that line. We're going to draw a triangle. So this is just giving us one folded leaf. With that shape, we can go ahead and darken it out a little bit. And that's what he looks like there. And you can take the lines out from inside it if it's helpful to be able to see what you're left with there. Now we're going to go ahead and add in some of those teardrop shapes, and these are going to be all sorts of squished directions and angles. Just keep it really flowy and organic. If it's not exactly the same angle, totally fine. Just enjoy the process, I think. Got that first one. We drew the teardrop shape. We followed the line and made a new one over to the right. And we came back a little bit from the new point and added this triangle. And that's the only one, but it is a folded one that we've got. Coming back to the bottom, similar to that, we're going to use this central starting point for all of our leaves. So let's go ahead and add those in. So the first one is going to come out this way. So we've got that raindrop, teardrop shape, pointy end. Again, we're just going to be layering these in. So we've come down to the bottom left. The next one we're going to do is going up to the top left. Keep playing with the shapes. Go first, second, and third. And the next one we're going to be doing is going to go down to the bottom right, but it's not going to go out too far. It's sort of in a line, and I'll show you that here in a bit. The bottom, and then like a raindrop, but it's sad, drooping off. I don't know, maybe a description or something. It's a raindrop, but sad. We're going to keep on going through. So now we're going to do up in this space here, top of a raindrop. Coming down to that next gap in the left where we add three shapes in. So the first one we'll add in this more right hand side of the gap. Okay, starting from the bottom, pointing up. The next one is going to be starting from the left, pointing down. It might overlap a bit with the other raindrop. And one in the middle. We'll go over those again quickly. We had this one big gap and we've added in three shapes. One was on the rightmost side. We did it pointing up. Then we went to the bottom, did it pointing down, overlapped it a bit here. And then we did one in the middle. Coming down to this gap, we're just going to do one end of a raindrop leaf shape. And come up to this gap, one pointing that goes sort of up and then down again. So up and down. And the last one we're going to add is just in this corner where we drew that point. We're just going to add the end of one more. So again, once you are happy with your shape, do the same trick of darkening it up so that we can erase the lighter lines around it. Still leave some lines for ourselves to do the pen work over. And you can do some spot erasing of the undersketch planning line tool. And because I've darkened those up, I'm going to give the whole thing a little bit of an erase. So that black smudging is because I'm using a soft pencil. It's not my eraser. It's just a really soft leaded pencil. Not going to give it a super robust erase until we're a bit further along. Awesome. So that is your second element done. Give you just a minute to finish up what you're doing before we get into the next one. So we've got our two succulents. You can see I've drawn them in a really similar way in terms of the structure, but really different leaf shapes, which we're going to give those a little bit more color. So we're continuing to build out our wreath. So another half a minute if you're finishing it up. If you've been doing lots in my classes, you know I do a lot of wreaths. I love a good wreath, and they're so soothing to draw. I find you start doodling. Go on to the next bit, which is a really easy element. It's just that we need something to fill this gap between our two. Maybe between our two succulents. And we're going to do that with berries. You can erase that round line, but we do want to keep the general shape for our berries. Really easy. We just draw a whole bunch of circles. Try to draw 2 circles, not touching each other. Sort of circles at the front, and then drawing in ones below. too giant, but also not making them too small. We want to be able to colour these in quite easily, and add a little bit of detail with the pen. So you'll notice I'm not making it like a solid, same thickness the whole way line. Sort of goes in and out. There's a little bit of variation. But once you've got the space filled, that is the whole of that element. It's just those wee areas clustering in between. And then if you can remember, I said we have 6 elements. We've got 3 of them just in that small space. If we think about what is between sort of 6 and 4. So give you a minute or two to do that. In the meantime, I will zoom my camera back out a little bit. And map out the next element. So that's the bottom left part of our wreath. Well done. At least for sketching, it's going to be excellent. So we're going to move on now to the Harakeke flax over to the left portion. So what I'd really like you to do is thinking again about the clock. We're going to do some different points on where we are. So we're going to start off with going to about 7 o'clock and make ourselves a little X with 7 o'clock. We're going to go to 8 o'clock instead of on the line. This time we're going to bring it on the inside and do a little X around about at 8 o'clock. Then we're going to move around to about 9 o'clock, maybe a little bit back further between 9 on the outside and draw a little X. 9, about a similar distance from the line to each other. I'll just repeat that once more. So we're going to make 3 markings for our harakeke over on the left, which is flax. We're going to start off with a little X at about 7 o'clock-ish on our circle. Then we're going to go up to 8 o'clock, but instead of making it on the circle, come a little bit inside, mark it off there. And the same for 9 o'clock, or just about 9 o'clock. Definitely more towards 8 than 10. And this time we're going to put the mark on the outside. To draw our flax, we're going to start off from actually down here where we've got the succulent. Again, I'm just going to make sure you can see my line. I'm going to start off in a touch. Okay. Hello. We're going to start off by adding in flax. It's going to start off with a wide point. I'll map out those two so we can see where I'm starting. And they're going to go curved line to the X we made for 7. The next one we're going to do, this time we're going to start at the X for number 9. Actually, I'll just go over that bottom one again just in case I did it too fast. We started off at the bottom and curved it around number 7. So we're going to start off with that number 9, sort of 9 o'clock X, and do a long line down. That's going to come at the bottom here. Triangle for 7. And this one for 9. This time we're going to cut it back. So instead of starting from 9, we're going to go about halfway between the 2 dots at about the 8 o'clock. Start there and draw the line back. So it's just before the point on the one we drew before. So it's giving us a bit of a weird and wonderful shape. The reason we're mapping these points out is so that we've got a nice open gap before we're going to draw the next element. So again, for the number 9, we started at that X, the furthest X we drew a nice curved line coming back into the bottom here. We're going to do the same thing with number 8, but instead of going right to the bottom, we're going to aim for a little bit more back in. So let's try that one. So start with 8, curve, and end it about 2/3 down on the first piece we drew. And this time, the other half of it, instead of coming back in here, it's actually going to go over and touch this other line there. So we're going to curve it down. Right, so you can see what these look like. We've got 3 really different shapes. This really skinny one out to the side, sort of more equilateral triangle leaf in the middle, and then this chunky one of number 8. Getting out. How to keep flex in. I can't quite remember the name for the flowers. Can't quite remember the name of the flowers. I'm gonna try it, but we're gonna draw flowers in next. So for this one, we're going to draw 3 little sort of twiggy branches. The first one is going to start from here and follow with it and go straight up. It doesn't have to have the same angle. You see how I've drawn like a thick little branch, and it's gone on the outside and up. As long as you've got on the outside and up your directions, right? Then we're going to draw another one, and this one is going to go up, and then on the inside, you'll see it goes up, and on the inside, on a angle rather than going up, same as on the outside did. The reason we've done that is because we're going to have one more in the middle here. Awesome, so we've got those 2, then we're going to add one that just comes out of the middle of those 2 on the inside and up. Again, go ahead and erase working lines as you move around. Almost done. I did flowers. Get into these yet. We'll go ahead and add those now. Sketch paper. we'll do a practice. So draw yourself 2 branches, one going out to the right and one going out to the left. They don't have to be perfect, almost like little bows, but I want to show you how we draw the flowers on them. So do a practice sketch for this one, if you're happy to. Start right at the end. I'm going to draw the line that comes out, wiggles, and then comes back down. Sorry, that's something. Out, wiggles, almost like a really weird looking foot. Once you've drawn the first one, then you're going to start and just that same pattern, keeping them nice and wide at the bottom. Is we're not going to go all the way down. I'm going to do about that much. Then again on the other side, do this weird and then wiggles at the top and wide flips. So it's my cat coughing in the background. Right, you're right. Sorry, folks. Got an asthmatic cat, so I'm just checking if he needs his inhaler. I live a very glamorous life. Awesome. So that's what we're going to do for the flowers, and there's 3 little branches we're going to do that on. On the left, and we're going to draw that. Step it back. See, I've come back, not the whole way, but it's just a bunch of little flowers. And those ones came in towards the circle. These next ones, the feet are also going to point back towards the circle. Branch. So we've got those 3 there. Frankie, you okay? And that is the flax portion done. So we've done 4 elements, just 2 to go, and then we can start with the line work. So you can see sort of balancing it out. Let's it come out of the circle here. Let's it come out of the. They do look like toothbrushes. They almost look like toothbrushes made of teeth. Rita has seen look like toothbrushes. This new thing where I can show how they do. They do look like toothbrushes. Awesome. So I'm gonna zoom this out to scooch again. Hopefully they won't look like toothbrushes when we're finished with them. So there we go. With the flower wreath that's sort of nicely coming together. Go now over to the side. Thinking of that we don't I did have notes next to me, like the professional I am. So we're going to go to about 2 o'clock on a wreath. I'm just going to draw a simple circle. This time, the circle is pretty much centered, so the line is coming through the middle. That's just holding ourselves a placeholder. Adding a Pōhutukawa flower in. So, yeah. So, what we're going to do, and you might want to pivot your paper as you do this, so we're going to draw a tree trunk that starts from here and comes all the way back to our outside line a little bit lighter. We want to follow that direction, come in sort of either side of it. So again, we've got this at about 2-inch up, and now we're going to start with that circle and draw a trunk. So it's going to start, because it's a trunk, we want it to wobbly is good, and we want it to start off really close to the center line, and it comes back a little bit further. Just behind little legs, and do the other side of this trunk. See how it's going to get thicker as we go down. And wobbly is quite good. In a Pōhutukawa tree, they're quite a wobbly, like a tree that's got a lot of texture. So definitely don't make it too perfect. You want it to look. And we're going to add a couple of branches to that. Both of those are going to come inside. The first one's going to start here. Just sort of root down a bit. Because the next one is going to almost point forward. Awesome, so we've got that trunk, and we've got our two branches, this first one drooping down a bit and the other one pointing forward to the right. Didn't mention this, but most of the time I always do clockwise or anti-clockwise exclusive as I draw a wreath. But this one's different. It's got sort of growing out. And so we've got a few elements that are going to go in opposite ways. It's a little bit unusual for me, the way that I draw wreaths. So hopefully quite a fun one to draw. So we've got that top, then the branch. We're going to add a couple of little extra lines coming off the branch. So this one is going to have one small twig coming off. And this one is going to have a twig either side. On the end of those twigs, I grab the scrap paper again. So if we've got a few different twigs, at the end, we're going to go flowers. For the purposes of this illustration, start off by giving them all a circle. We're going the same size, but do keep your circle nice and light. Then we're going to start from the bottom of the branch and draw curved lines that flick out. So you can see, sort of following the circle line, we're starting them at the bottom so that we can flick our lines a bit lighter. And what that looks like with this, see that first try to fit matching circles. So try to keep them all around the same size. And once you've got your circles planned out, then you can go in with those fluffy lines. Always starting all of these little curved lines from the bottom where the stem is hitting it, and you're following them around circular shapes. So some going to the left, to the right, and some going straight. Lots of different ways to draw Pōhutukawa flowers. This is the way we're going to use this particular wreath. Give you a minute to do that. They don't need to be too perfect because these are our pencil sketches, and we'll come back in with a pen and do the line work soon as well. 55 minutes through the class. We are on track to be on time, right? Now for the Pōhutukawa leaf shape, I'm going to draw a really basic leaf, which is just, it's like an eye shape. It's got a meet in and two curved lines that meet. Really basic. If we were drawing a leaf at primary school, that's the shape you do. That's the shape one here. And again, no detail at the moment. Do that. Give me another Pōhutukawa flowers. So the last element we'll be drawing next is the kōwhai. Once we finish this one, then we'll be ready to go. If you've done my classes before, which I know Rita and Annie definitely have, you've probably drawn Pōhutukawa and kōwhai with me. You know I love drawing these ones. Quite fun. Pencil. It's going to be blunt. So we're going to go on to adding our leaves. We're going to start from just up here behind the first stem on the outside. I always like to outside, inside, so outside, add a little inside. Coming along this branch. If you haven't got space to put a leaf, just adjust it and pop one where it'll fit. Just going to try to keep it a little bit balanced outside here. And fit in one more. Inside, fit a leaf, and then going down. So along the stem as well. I've done one on the left, so I'll do one on the right. Coming around, do one on the outside of the branch, and one on the inside. I love that, Annie. Annie said, use the Kōwhai wreath for the Christmas cards. Beautiful. I use Kōwhai wreaths and the Pōhutukawa wreaths on Christmas cards a lot. I've got leaves, and you'll notice it's still not really full. We're going to add a couple more elements. And feel free to just take your own creative direction with those leaf placements. I'm going to add a few berries. And the berries are this. I just come up with a single stem, then a circle. And my challenge to you is say add 5. So add 5 in spots you think will make sense. It is a bit of space. 4, maybe 5th one here. Give you a minute to finish those up. Like I said, try to pick some spaces that feel a little bit empty, where there might be other areas that have a lot clumped together. Add 5 of those, and then just add a single step. Easy color. Rita used her illustrations on the Christmas cards too. I love that. How is the quality? I'd love know particularly if you've done these classes or if there's any difference. I'm using like a fancier service. I can have a little bit more control over making sure that the broadcast is happening and I can see all the comments in one place. So do let me know if there's been anything with the stream that I need to fix. This will be our new path forward so that I can consistently do some classes. Also, so we've got the Pōhutukawa. The last one we're going to add is our Kōwhai. Super exciting. So for our Kōwhai, we're going to do something a little bit different. I mean, if we've done this before, we're going to draw in our Kōwhai first. So I'm going to start off being zoomed in again. Drawing. Awesome. So we're going to go about, let's go 2/3 up. We're going to draw a curve. Eyelid line. It starts off higher and lower to the left. From the middle of it, we're going to draw a stem coming out. And we'll turn others into stems as well. So we started off with a curve that went into the middle and then down to the right. And we put a stem in the middle, also curving down slightly. And then we filled out the rest of the stem. It's almost like a weird little umbrella. On the end of each of those, we're going to draw a little rounded triangle shape, which if you've been doing Kōwhai Christmas cards, you'll know the top of it. And again, we'll go back to the scrap paper. And if you draw yourself 3 rounded triangles, you can close your open at the top. That doesn't really matter too much, but we're going to just practice our on the bottom. And so we're going to start with this one on the left. Imagine that's the top of a J, and then we're going to draw the bottom of the J coming down, bottom of the J, and then we're going to connect it up with a bit of a curvy line. Off to the left, I'm going to make this another little J shape going down and in, and then in the middle we're going to do 2 lines, a little bit of a wavy shape. And try that again on the next one over. So we've got pushing the top of your J down, connect it up with a little bit of a wave. On this side, do another J shape that comes in and touches the middle. Draw 2 little lines out and connect them up with a wavy squiggle. On your next one, my challenge to you is to reverse the J. So instead of drawing a normal J, draw it backwards. It's going the other way. Connect with the wiggly shape. Now the January always do come in a little shorter. And then there's 2 at the bottom with the wiggly shape. That's how we're going to draw our Kōwhai flowers today. And so let's see what that looks like on these shapes. We're going to start with a J, connect it with a wiggly line. That went a bit nuts with my wiggle there. Do a second one, makes it smaller. 2 lines at the bottom, connected with a squiggle. This one I'll do that backwards J. And we're not going to be adding in any of the other detail at this stage. It's the J, and with a squiggle, another one small, and this one. So I'll give you a minute to finish that up. So we're getting there. Just going to get the last bit of our sketching before we move on to inking up our drawing and then adding some colour. Last bit of detail at the end. Okie dokes. So we're actually going to make use of this existing circle line, and we're going to add a second line to make it a little twig. You can erase the top bit of circle. Now we've got our Kōwhai branch. It's a bit of a weird perspective because we're not seeing sort of bent over. We're not seeing the whole branch. It's a bit of a balance. We're going to add 4 little twigs. And these twigs are just going to go. So we start from the bottom and we do a short twig out. Move up on the inside, short twig. You see how they're pointing upward. One more here, which will be a short twig up. And then our last one, the drawer, till it's close-ish to 5. And each of these twigs are going to have some little leaves. So we start off, the Kōwhai leaves are little ovals. We're going to start off oval on the end, and then little ovals coming off either side. Today we're going to keep these nice and round. And you see how I'm trying to keep them all about the same size. So do those for all 4 little round leaf. And then these little pairs. And just, there's no set number of pairs, just stop when you run out of space. And this is going to be our last sketched element. So you'll see we've still got some detail to add, but we're not going to add that until that's what our illustration will look like. I'll give you another minute to finish those up. Let me know if you need more time. For the moment, I'll zoom out a little bit again. We're ready to add some ink, which is nice. So things you can get ready if you were done is you just dust off any, use your hand, dust off any recent other dust that might be there. Test out the size of your pen. Don't have to test it out kind of quickly. And so I'm using a 0.5. If you've got a couple of options, they both look like one is definitely what you say. Use this 0.5. And let me know if you need any more time. Comment. Otherwise, I'm gonna start rolling us through. Now, just one note is that I am right-handed. So the way that I work is going to be starting at and both rotating and moving. Bear in mind if you're left-handed, you might want to move your paper differently while we're inking bits. You're not putting your hand over ink that you immediately are laying down. Pencil, lay the space. But regardless of which hand you're using, be really mindful that the ink you're laying down is going to take a minute to dry. If you haven't got a black ink pen, you could also use that ballpoint, a felt tip with it, or a black pencil. But do bear in mind that a black pen is definitely your best bet. So there's no real rhyme or reason. We're not adding detail. Literally want to trace over our pencil lines, our intentional lines, under sketching, and go around. So I'm going to start off with this one here, just inking. So you'll see there's nothing fancy. So if you can get started, and I will talk about what I'm doing as we go through, but you don't actually need to be on the same bit. Just go through, do your inking. Just pay attention to where you start and try not to jump around. So try to start on one bit and then keep moving around the circle. So that when we start erasing, you can confidently start with the driest first. Done that first one, move on to these circles. So try to get through it. Studious. It's tempting to take a long time to do these. Once you get started, let yourself pick up a bit of a pace when you get to an area where it's more confusing which ones are your lines. Take a bit more time. These little berries might do them a bit quicker. Do try to keep an eye out for each pencil line that you need to hit. One of my favorite Wreath designs. I did this first as a watercolor, which was really fun. I did think about doing this as a watercolor class, but because it's quite an intricate wreath and because watercolor takes a lot of drawing, I just wasn't workable for me. But this is one that you could redraw and do in watercolor at home, or you could, instead of coloring with coloring pencil today, do some watercolor and line sketch as well. Just keep moving around. As I said, try not to put your hand on any ink you've just put down. So one thing I did want to note is when you get to the Pōhutukawa is make sure you don't actually do the lines of those circles we did. So this was just to help. If there's anything you ink accidentally that you wanted to erase later, just treat it as a learning and a little bit of character. So I think I mentioned I'm going to do a lettering with watercolor pencils coming up. I don't actually do a lot of watercolor with watercolor pencils. I tend to use them for my favorite thing about watercolor pencils and to do with them is actually to do cards and wreaths on craft brown paper. Usually watercolor pencils, that softness means they build up color really nicely against brown paper. And I was thinking, I know people who've done classes have gotten watercolor pencils before because it's a nice versatile medium for a whole bunch of stuff. I'll try to do a few more classes that use those. I'm going to just keep turning paper. So for your Pōhutukawa branches, make sure you don't do the line across the bottom of the branch if you can avoid it. One should just be working. It's like when you add the black and it starts to really pop. I always miss inking sometimes. Erasing. Check carefully because it's always something that I erase without even inking it. So because this one has quite a lot going on, we don't go too intricate with the colouring in or adding colour. So I was doing these classes all a lot later in the day. I'm trying a whole bunch of different times. I'm doing it in the morning. It's kind of nice. My brain is always fresh in the morning. We try to hit all the different time zones. Drawing upside down, which is weird. So just move your paper as you need it. Now these will not stop looking like toothbrushes. I really like it. Nature's toothbrushes. I always love when flowers on the flax plants get dry. And they've got all those nice little seed pods on. Some of you might remember we lost one of our cats escaped the car when we moved down to Christchurch, and she was in the wild for 4 months in Marlborough, South Island. We're really lucky because we got her back. The place we lost her. Beautiful planted out lake called Lake Aotearoa in Marlborough. Spent so much time walking through all the native bush there, wetland, find her. Incredibly lucky. So, got my one done. Don't feel too pressured. You've still got a few minutes. What would be helpful is if you could let me know in the comments when you're done, so I know when to move on. We're not going to erase it immediately. We're going to give it a little bit of time to dry. These types of icky pens can be really smudgy when they're um, and when you want to erase quite robustly. What I'm also doing is just using my eraser on a clean bit of paper to clean it off in case I've still got any of my smudgy pencil on it. Hey, you're doing it. That's awesome. Thank you. There's definitely time. Kate's halfway through. Definitely time for you. Definitely lots of little detail. So nice. Yeah, definitely time. Don't feel too rushed. Not sure what I'm going to do with the rest of our Sunday. We went out last night to a Kate Bush tribute show, which was really cool. My first real outing since I've been hermiting post surgery. So I'm feeling happy. Left the house well and achieved. Today my plan is to not really leave the house. So we shall see. So if you are done, have a look back and see if there's anything that you've missed inking. My experience is that there usually is at least one thing. Um, just have a double check. Once we start erasing, it's really satisfying seeing all of our pencil sketches go away and the sketch just be there, looking cool. A little bit embarrassed by how the state of this eraser being all squished. I suppose I could take the paper off. Well loved art supply, nothing wrong. About 11:24. Just over half an hour left. Just plenty of time. As I said, we're doing quite a gentle um, colouring, and we'll add in our last bit of detail with pen at the end, just to finish it off. Got this gently asthmatic cat behind me. I'm sorry if you can hear him. So let me know once a couple of people have done. Don't feel stressed about it. It's easy breezy. Well, I'm off the camera. It's the first time I haven't also used the phone as the video, and it is so nice to not have all of this stuff in the way. Annie's done. Yeah, so classes I have planned coming up. So if I do an Easter bunny painting, it might be an acrylic. Just for fun. I was quite tempted to do gouache. A little tester I did for that up here. Awesome, a couple of people done. Show you now that I mentioned it. Yeah, I thought doing these kinds of clouds, it wouldn't be the exact same ones, but might be quite fun as a gouache class. But I wasn't sure if people would be interested in doing gouache painting and how many people have that at home. Got that in mind. Awesome. So if we're done, I love it. Okay, so rubber is ready. So we're going to pop these for the side just for a minute, and we're not going to erase until we have swapped our colours for our pencils. Give the last extra bit of time. So, colours we're going to need. Go to your pencil stash and grab any brown colours. If you've only got one, that's totally fine. But ideally, I have reason I like to swatch them is because it's really hard to tell, even from the coloured ends, if those are really the colours there. So I'm going to start off with brown and swatch out the brown pieces you have in your stash. And if you've got a couple of shades of brown, you're going to want to pick something that's dark. Which one are you? A dark and a light. I pick those two. Got a light brown. We're only going to colour quite lightly. And a dark brown. A couple of things with colouring. If you hold it back far, colours, the pencil is sort of on its side. Most even colour on the page. The closer you hold it, the more control you get. But also, that'll mean you're drawing a point, which is going to give you more of a scratchy texture. Just something to be aware of. So we're going to need brown. 2 colours of brown if you've got it. If you haven't, just do one. Use the same colour. So do 2 different shades. So one really light and one dark. That'll give them a couple of colours. Similarly, we're going to need a couple of colours of green. One nice light green. So if you swatch out, sharpen your pencils, swatch them out so you can see what you're working with. You're going to want to avoid things that are too bluey. So I'm going to go with this nice light and then a darker pine tree green, but just a lighter dark green. You're also going to need a purple. We've got purple, a dark red will do. A red, just a nice bright, vibrant red. A orange and a yellow. A yellow. Nice and bright. I think that is everything. Let me go over them in my head. Yeah, we've got everything. Awesome. So, moment of we're going to take our eraser and erase. Try to start with the area you first started inking, because it had the longest time to dry. Go gingerly at first. Go too intensive in case it's wet. Once you can see that it is dry, start going in a little bit more robustly and cleaning it up. Ready go. It was quite nice when all the pencil is gone and you're just left with the line. So satisfying, except for all the dust. So, another minute to finish off erasing. Before we start with the colouring. Notice any spots you missed with a black pen. Make sure you add that line in. I'm going to zoom us in a bit. If you are ready to go, you're going to want to give all your pencils a quick sharpen if they are not already sharp. Isn't this fun? Now the hard bit is done. You've drawn your picture. Just doing the actually fun colouring bit. I love it. Okie dokes. So we're going to start off with that first supplement we drew. I'm going to give the whole thing with the light, I should say color, which color I'm using. I'm going to give the whole thing with the light green, light shade all over. So the first section, again, you'll see I'm coloring on the side of the pencil, so I'm just getting nice and light. That light green. So, okay, if it's a little bit patchy, it's just a full coat of light green. And once we're done with that one, doesn't need to be too perfect. The next layer of detail is going to be using that darker green. And this time, we want to start adding in. You see, much more without being too blurry. So I'm going to add some of that darker green at the bottom. And this time you can sort of color up and down, so we don't mind too much if it's adding little bits. So we want to do it at the bottom of each leaf. So only leaves where you can see the full leaf will have a bottom on them. If you can only see the top of the leaf, you have to go at the bottom of each of the succulent leaves. And again, I'm colouring up and down in the same direction. Not quite colouring the color, capturing the color. I'm going to try another setting on the camera. Hopefully you can see a bit more. Like that. So we're doing that dark green at the bottom of each leaf. And then next place we're going to add it is just where we want shadows. So go to a back leaf where you see another leaf is coming in front. We're going to echo the shape of whatever is in front. The darker green line. So you can start to push your pencil a little more firmly on the paper. And these are just the shadows. So if another leaf comes in front, one underneath, we're going to do lines around the shape. Layering, the more gritty the paper is, the more numbers, like number of layers, colors you can build up. And also quality of your pencils. So use really fancy ones, toothy paper, you get dark colors. But if you're using smooth paper and more like entry level non-artist pencils, you're still going to get heaps of that ability to layer, but there's just less layers. I'd say with this smooth paper, this pencil, like 3 or 4 layers. Maybe if you had fancy, you got 9 layers. That's affected by both the type of core you're using, of the pencils, and I'm using super smooth paper today. I'm the word paper too much. So that's what the succulent actually done. It's just a little shaded green succulent. So if you're still finishing it up, I'm going to keep moving on, and you can always come back and add a bit more, but you don't need too much detail on that. The next one we're going to go into, and this time these flex leaves are going to all have a layer of the dark green. It's just those 3 pointy flex leaves. So I'm going to keep moving through and just follow along as best you can. If you need to come back and add some color later, totally fine. You'll be able to rewatch the video. So once we've done the green, we're going to come and do the center line of these 3 leaves. That's just doing a line that starts in the middle with the red pencil. And then I'm going to go back with the dark green and just add some more stripes onto each of the leaves. Either side of the line. So nothing too technical, just adding a bit of that stripy, fibrous flex texture. So we did a light layer of dark green, then we did red center lines down each of these 3, and then with the dark green and some extra little stripies. Give you half a minute to finish that up, and then I will move on to our next ones. Some of these will have more detail than others. Some of them will have a bit with, again, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit again. So for this one, really pay attention to which one is your light and which one is your dark brown. So we're going to want to use light first, and then dark. So we're going to use the light brown to do the stems of these toothbrush flowers. We're not layering the other brown over it because we've got these stems against the other trunk. So it's really important we have a bit of contrast. And one of the ways we're going to get that is by using two different colored browns, or if you're using one brown coloring pencil, do a light layer for the light brown, a dark layer for the dark. So I've put in that light brown, which is all we're adding on the stems. Looks orange on the camera. Hi, Christy. Hi, Facebook comments. We've got the light brown on those toothbrush stems on the flax, and then those flowers, we're going to come in with the purple. So light layer of purple on the flowers. Once you've done the light layer of purple on the flowers, we're going to use a red pencil, and we're just going to sort of do a border on each of those foot type shapes. And you'll just see that adds a little bit of extra, and also makes the flowers not look super red. So again, a light shade of purple, just going around the outlines on the inside with a layer of red. That's good amount of dimension. And we'll keep going round. This time we're up to the trunk. And the trunk is just going to have, for the Pōhutukawa, a light layer of dark brown. And again, if you're using one color brown for both of them, just give it a little bit of a hard press. Get that tone, some contrast in. Just a nice light layer of brown on that whole trunk. This is, again, something that could go really nicely on a Christmas card. You can write a message, happy birthday, something if you put this on the front of a birthday card. This out of touch again. It's got that nice dark brown. Okay. Smooth, lightish layer of the darker brown all over the Pōhutukawa stems. And just once you've done that, you can add a little bit of extra pressure to the Pōhutukawa trunk that is behind the flax. Needs a little bit of shadow. So just have that bit darker. And the rest of it nice and light. And just give you half a minute to finish up that trunk. Pōhutukawa is quite a fun one to colour. Excellent. So we're going to be going in with our darker green now. We'll use it as a light layer on each of these berries, just a solid layer. And solid layer on each of the leaves. Giving those a nice solid coat of green. On each of the leaves. And those leaves we have just the ones coming off the Pōhutukawa. And just giving you half a minute to finish that one up. You're all doing very well. 2 hours of drawing is a lot. Adding all this colour in. There are bits you want to go back and add. You'll be able to do that afterwards. I just don't want you to miss it on the last sort of colour and adding detail. So the next one we're going to do flowers. To colour these in, all I do is do the exact same thing that we did with the black pen. You add fluffy lines. You don't need to match with all of the penners. You just want to add in nice, fluffy curved lines. And that nice, bright Pōhutukawa. All 6 of them like that. And once you're ready, then you add in yellow pollen dots at the bottom of each flower. Just some little yellow circles. You can cover a bit of the red with them if you want. We've got about 10 minutes left. We might go about 5 minutes over time. If you do need to leave on the dot, you'll be able to come back and watch the last bit. keep moving around. For the kōwhai, we're going to use the lightest brown to do a light shade like the branch. But we're not going to colour in those top little bells on top of each of the kōwhai with the brown. Those will be green. Getting the stem brown. And light green is going to be the bells at the top of each flower, as well as all of those little leaves we did. And just keep going around. Don't panic if you're falling a bit behind. Just when we move on to a new element, follow me to that one and you can come back. Whichever ones you'd like to take a bit more time. These bigger key ones can be nice to just slow the roll on those a little bit. Okie dokes. And it's not going to be a shock to you that our kōwhai flowers are all going to be yellow. Just the one same yellow. They can also have dots. So again, just little round dots. We've just got our last two to colour, and then we'll add in some more detail with the pen, some final bits, and it'll be ready. Give you another half a minute to finish before we move on. The next colours we're going to need are the red and the dark green. And the orange, actually, and then that's all of the last three colours we'll be adding. Move along. As I said, if you need to, you can come back to finish up the kōwhai. I know it's the most fiddly one. So we're going to start off with the red. I'm going to use the red colour in the tip of each of these teardrop leaves. The whole thing, you darker right at the end and then lighten your pencil so it blends out. So we're just wanting red tips on each of these leaves. Give you another half minute to finish off that. So close to the last bit of colouring. And it's going very well. If you're happy sharing a picture with us, I'd love to see what you've drawn today. You can either post it as a comment on Facebook or send a DM on Facebook. I don't know how YouTube works. If you can share a photo, please do. Otherwise, yeah, I'd love to see what you've drawn. So we've done the red tips, and the next thing we'll add is a light layer of dark green to the whole thing, including the end. So you'll see when you go over the red with the dark green, it's going to add just a bit of richness. Just a nice light. As I said, I do have a few other classes coming up over the next wee while. Now that I'm feeling well enough to run them, the technology working. Hopefully I'll soon. Well, happy with my sample drawing to put it up. Excellent. So that's that one there. Just like the other succulent, we can add those shadow lines by pushing firmly with the dark green. Anything that is behind another one, trace those behind lines. Dark color, it'll add instant shadow. Animation. So almost done. When you get to the berries, we just want to put a light layer of orange on all of the berries. And then we can use the red to just bit of dimension. A light layer of orange. And you can use the red. And we're going to do the same thing we did with the leaves. And that's just everywhere where there's a shadow, you can go in with the red, trace over the line that's in front of what you're putting the shadow on. It's just a bit of cheats dimension. Spend a lot of time coloring everything, but especially if you put this on a card or something, you don't want to spend builds of time. So it's just adding a bit of interest and shadow, anything that's sitting behind another object. And once you've done those berries, you are fully colored and ready to add just the last sheen of detail. Somewhat like this. And I'm going to give you half a minute. It is now 12 o'clock. As I said, you'll be able to go back and watch the end of this video if you need to move along, but it's going to be another 5 minutes or so just to show you all the little bits of extra detail you can add. What I suggest is that we'll add a little bit to each element, so I've covered it so people can go if they need to. But I'll keep my stream going the last bits of detail to the full drawing. So I'm going to start adding in that pen detail. Let's start off actually with the kōwhai. So for the kōwhai, first bit of detail we want to add is lines down the middle of each leaf. And if your pen is not letting you find enough lines, you can also sharpen a black pencil to do that with. Lines down the middle of each leaf. You can use a black pencil to do that if you need a nice fine point. You can just sharpen it up and you'll be able to use that for it. So just keep that in mind. If you've got a finer pen as well, you could use that too. Just going based off the standard art supplies. So lines on those kōwhai leaves are the first bit of detail for the kōwhai. Thanks, Rita. Have a lovely day. The next bit of detail is up the trunk. We're going to do just short, random dashes. Add a little bit of texture to that branch. And we're going to add some circles around some of the pollen dots on the kōwhai. Just circling some of those yellow dots and adding some little lines coming up the end of the kōwhai, and they don't need to connect to the dots necessarily. Doing quite loose. Okay. That's the detail that we're adding to the kōwhai, and as I said, if you haven't quite got all the corners, you'll be able to go back and just have a look at what you've done on each. Just going to keep rolling it around. So the next one is this succulent, and this one's quite easy. We're just going to add lines onto the bottom, just at where the bottom is on each. And we're going to follow the lines we use them. So if they're on the edge, they'll follow the round line. If they're in the middle, they'll go straight up. If you can't see the bottom yet, we won't see the lines. So it's just detail lines on them so you can sort of see the bottom. And we're going to keep going around. The detail on the berries, we're going to add, how much can I zoom in on these? We're going to add circles with dots on one side of each berry. If you can see it, try to vary it up. Just a circle with a dot. So help show it being round. Interest, even though they're just little, makes them have a bit of texture. Keeping on moving around. I said I'd do this one quickly, and I'm sorry about it. So we're going to do lines just at the bottom of these, but these are going to be straight, following the direction of each leg. Again, from the bottom up, and that can help your lines taper off. And just where you can see the bottom of the leaf. So you'll notice a bit of the pattern. Most of the detail mirrors what's already there. These curved ones got curved lines. These round berries got round lines. These are straight angular lines. adding a bit and so that makes your eyes happy. And again, I'm going to keep moving around, this time onto the flax leaves, which is just going to get center lines. That's it. Nice and easy. So you should have the red showing behind the black lines. And at the top of these toothbrush little purple flowers, we're just going to do lots of small lines coming out. Just the ends of these flowers. Little stamen. Just a little bit of detail on those. We're getting there. Moving on to the Pōhutukawa trunk. If you remember in the Kōwhai, we did all those little lines. The Pōhutukawa is also going to have lines. It's going to be a little bit longer and spaced out, just to give it a little bit of texture. Just randomly, as long as you've got room. That was the texture for the trunk. The little green berries are just going to get little black dots at the end. You're doing well. See people stick in for the last bit. I appreciate you. It's nice. The pollen dots on the Pōhutukawa flower. Do some outlines on some of those. You don't need to get all of them. Just a few. Flower. After this one, two little last details. Thanks for sticking. We go tiny bit over time. Oh, and I've done the thing where I've put my hand in my black pen and put it on the paper. So just, I forgot to say, be mindful of putting. Also put a piece of paper between your hand and where you're pressing. Me. The next one is just flowers. The leaves for flowers. They have a center line. Then go down. You can add roots that point to the branch they're coming from. Trying not to press that again. So center line, and then these that point at the branch. Let's support it to cover leaves. And the reason we add this detail at the end is just because it's nice to have the black on top of the pencil, because the pencil can otherwise, the black line's a little bit dull. Coloring in a bit of a nightmare. The last detail I will show you is some extra little sprouting seeds off the palette. So these go little line little black dot, and you can have two branching off each other. If you like, add a last bit of texture, and you've got those, we're done. And that's the wreath complete. I'll just put a little bit more white. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me for this class, spending a couple of hours together. It's been really nice. But yeah, really nice to get back into it and draw this together. I hope if you're putting it on a card or something that you're happy with it, and that you've learned something that you might take into the next piece of artwork. I always suggest artwork. It's just a nice way to finish it off. And yeah, I would love to see, um, I'd love to see what you made. Really nice to spend it. Ka kite, and I hope you have a really good day today. As I said, if you've missed some or all of this video, it will be available online to watch, probably only on YouTube rather than keeping the Facebook link up. I think Facebook deletes it after a certain number of days. Yeah, I'd love to see what you made. I post a link to all of my everythings if you want to come find my other classes I'll be doing once those go up. Yeah. Thanks, and have a great